Today's artist delights us with raw, melodic, electroacoustic rock on the surface, but underneath it lies a story that exposes the humanity in all of us. She brings her songs to life by incorporating soundscapes in her music and dreamy visuals in her live performances. After touring for 8 years with the renowned Cirque du Soleil, she's proven that she can easily impress and succeed on her solo musical journey. You're watching The Vocalist Magazine presents Tara Baswani.
Music is my first expression. It is the language that I love best. It's almost like a womb for me. I don't think it was ever a choice. It just is the state of mind that I like.
This time is my time. This space is my space. This feud is my feud. Make no mistake.
Tara, you were born in India, but you've said that you've had kind of a nomadic upbringing. So tell me about your childhood.
Born and raised in India, grew up north, way up north in temperatures very similar to Montreal. My grandfather would always play stuff. When I was a child, I can't remember a time that music didn't play in my house in the morning. My mom bought me, one of those little, it's like an Indian accordion called the harmonium. But we always had that. We always had this magnificent antique radiogram. Music is India, right? You step out in the street, a vegetable vendor is singing, there's a street musician. To me, being home in India, and it's so similar to Montreal now that I think about it. I started studying Western classical on the piano when I was a kid. Moved towards the guitar. Never really learned songwriting, never studied music theory as such. And then finally started training with voice and, vocalization, but much, much later. More as a discipline of performance art, more as a discipline of performance art and therapy.
Wow, and was music something you always wanted to pursue professionally?
I don't think I ever thought about music that much. It was always something that I did. I was happiest when I was writing. I think I express myself better when I write lyrics, when I sing. I was always that kid who was being told to stop singing on the street. But I thought I would major in literature and psychology. And I did major in English literature. And every time I thought I would stop and start studying something else, a band, an invitation to join a band that you couldn't resist, or one recording project, or something would always come along. And I think music has adopted me more than I've chosen it.
A sliver of thought, it falls in streaks of light on sheets of white. The sun's long gone.
When I went professional, so to speak, with music, I was 14. And I started with advertising in the studio and singing for film scores in India. And even at that time, I was writing my own lyrics. I was putting together this weird expression that was my own. I love funk and soul, but at the same time, I love the quarter tones, the modal expressions that Indian classical brings. But I never wanted to fit into a genre or box. So my journey has always been one of discovering self-expression, wanting to create a language, especially because you're a kid coming from India, and people know about Indian classical. They don't know what Indian classical stands for, and I'm not an Indian classical singer. But I do love everything that it stands for, the depth of expression that it brings, the complexity of tones that Indian classical brings. But I always wanted to put it in my own language. They won't, they won't shine. They won't know.
I have to ask more about Cirque du Soleil because, of course, that's a world-renowned. So what was it like working with them, and what were your days like performing?
Cirque, a day at Cirque, it was always about discipline, about stamina, about being the best artist that you can be. Working, creating, writing at Cirque, performing at Cirque definitely brought a great sense of discipline in me. It told me that it was all right for me to be myself. Cirque was the first time that I think I was allowed to sing in more than one language. I was singing in 3 or 4 languages, and it was not only accepted, but it was encouraged. I was allowed to bring in the different genre of music that influenced me, and I do think I take a certain amount of theatricism that comes from there.
Can't go far.
And now your sound, you call it, it's slotted into world music, but I find that that's so general. So describe the Tara Baswani sound to me.
My sound is visual. My sound is definitely a singer-songwriter space. I love electronic sound spaces, but at the same time, I am a lover of acoustic instrumentation. I do like creating sonic textures, the same way that people would use props on stage, the same sense in which a filmmaker would use naturescapes. In that sense, I think sonic textures are my ambience. They are the atmosphere I create. They are the props that I create to tell a story. And then my voice, my expression, my lyricism is what I offer as different characters that inhabit a storytelling space.
Clouds taking slower. Time's about to stand still. The wind, it's getting colder. Blood, it curdles, it chills. The spider draws his web, edges in for his kill. He'll freeze, frame a prey, weave his patterns into thrills. It's coming down hard and there's nowhere to go. There's no escape inside, there's really nowhere to go. I need somewhere to hide, just to breathe and let go. Spinning left and right, there's really nowhere to go. Break down, there's nowhere to go. Break down, there's nowhere to go. Slate clouds all around, smoke signals everywhere. I float into strata where the air is rare. Atmospheric pressure plummets my raw fear, it's bare. Is there a force, a higher ground, or just me out there? A desperate dive into water, I come up with a gasp. Salt, it sticks right through my eyes. Sensation at last. The current's getting strong.
I definitely want to talk about your debut EP, Quest Origins.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is the first installment of a trilogy, is it?
Yes, this is the first of a trilogy. I started documenting my life, and at some point I figured, since The Little Prince is my favorite book, and I was given a book called Sophie's World, I really liked the idea that an artist could offer their journey and their platform to talk about other people's stories. We started to put the music instrumentation into it, I started to put the lyricism into it, and the third process was the visual language. I wanted the first piece to be about my origins because I wanted it to start from breakdown again and lead into my birth, the birth of an artist. So it is extremely conceptual for me. Each song is a chapter of an audiovisual book. Each song brings in a certain part of Indian classical and allude to part of my origins in the soundscapes, in the textures. And then we would keep embellishing it with the lyrics, electro textures, to talk about the advent from acoustic instrumentation into electro genre that is so prevalent in the world today. And it sort of, came back to talking about origins. How do you evolve? And we finish at birth. The next movement is definitely about living life, questions about liberation, questions about equality. And I think that is definitely going to pervade the music space as well.
Smoke signals everywhere. I float into stratus where the air is red. Atmospheric pressure plummets my raw feet. It's bad.
We are surrounded by a lot of darkness, but music, that is our job as musicians, to bring light, harmony, right, is what music stands for. A clear line of melody, silence, and harmony. If you begin to draw the metaphors into human existence, I think that is the job of artists right now, to bring harmony into the world, to use ourselves as metaphors to say that discord is something that no one wants to hear. So let's talk about these things. Let's talk about equality. Let's talk about giving women their rights. And yes, we can go into these things. But at the end of the day, if there are only that many music notes in the world, and they can coexist and be expressed differently, that's what Quest tries to do. It tries to bring different genre with those same notes, yes, with a distinct nod to my culture, which came from India. But as an Indian kid, I am living proof of the fact that you can have Indian classical, jazz, funk, soul, rock, and everything else in between exist in one space. So why not use that as a metaphor for what we need to bring into the world right now? I mean, why not?
This time is my time. This space, my space. This feud is my feud. Make no mistake.
I'm really fond of rehearsing and practicing and doing my vocal warm-ups or the lack of my vocal warm-ups with the tanpura. It's an Indian classical instrument. I don't have the luxury of carrying this massive, gorgeous wooden instrument, so I carry a little electronic box. But I also find it to be a great leveler for all music. It's the root note, and it is always the right note. It brings three strings together into one focused core of a harmony. But when you start to sing with it, it's so relentlessly unforgiving in terms of pitch. You immediately know when you're off note, when you're off pitch. At the same time, I think when we acknowledge genre like blues or diphthongs as vocalists, there is a beauty to imperfection that I love very much. I've sung rock and funk for a long period of my life. And, I like the fact that you can bring in an edgy little gritty burr. We have this really funny expression with instrumentalist friends when you slightly go off pitch. Everyone at some point just agrees that it was a jazz note. But that was kind of it's the same vein as finding love, as finding the best friendships. You really have to work so hard at it. You have to work at it daily. And then you find this one moment of pristine precision and you go, ah, and it's just this pure space, and that's the right note for me.
A sliver of thought, it falls in streaks of black on sheets of white. The sun's long gone, too grace to light up someone else's sky. Surrounded by the glow of solitary candlelight, she stayed up, she wrote of bygones, right and wrong in song to skies. In search of the right note. In search of love sung. In search of words they won't flow. In search of the truth afar. Shadows peep out of secret hiding places in the night. Memories, fragments, strong framed walled, step into their place of pride. Flows, rose, nose, lows, pour out eloquently. The muses laugh, skip, play along, breathing harmonically. In search of the right note. In search of love sung. In search of the right hope. In search of love sung. In search of the right note. In search of love sung.
So this idea of art as activism, what mark do you want to leave with your music?
Community, education. Activism, I think, is as similar as the word yoga is to me. It's about doing, it's about acting. I don't think there is any aggression or anything attached to it. It's really important for me to put forward a message of compassion, education. I think that music is the perfect metaphor for it. Art is the perfect metaphor for these things. That is the message I want to leave. Create, do, bring people together. It's very simple.
Have you already started writing for the second installment of Quest?
Yes, yes.
And so tell me, what's the story going to be there? How does it evolve from Quest Origins?
So far, the best that I can say is the journey moves from the constellations and the fictitious world of the stars, which is something I'm fascinated by, into the real world. I think it's time to talk about the real world. It's time to talk about liberation, equality, unity. The sound is more minimalist, for sure, right now, and that surprises me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Montreal. There's there's a lot about being in the mountains with water. I think liberation. We're moving towards liberation.
Catch her alive, she'd find you a unicorn. With a smile, it'd fall to her grace. Make a wish, she'd find you the light of dawn.
What else do you want to accomplish? A couple of years down the line, what else do you want to have accomplished?
It's an ongoing battle. Like, I love music so much and I love designing so much. But it's clear to me that I can no longer make music without creating complete concepts. And it is equally clear to me that I can no longer create art without feeling responsible about taking it into an educational space in the world. Everything that I hear about right now, whether it's on the news, with everything that is going wrong in the world right now, I can't help but wish that we could sit and speak to each other as people and educate each other, not just scholarly, institution-based education, but use art to create social education. That's where I want to go. I don't know how and with what utility it's going to go, but I am aware that it exists as a very big priority for me right now.